5 important things to ask when hiring a personal injury lawyer. So if you've been injured and it's somebody else's fault, in many cases it makes sense to hire a personal injury lawyer, and that lawyer will go after the other at-fault person to go recover for you your medical bills, your lost wages, pain and suffering, and whatever else is relevant. So you've got your initial appointment. Personal injury lawyers are always, I guess, never say always. They're almost always free. So don't bring money with you, but definitely bring your ID. So what's going to happen? Well, first you want to ask the lawyer some questions, but you might not actually meet with the lawyer. In some firms, you'll meet with an intake team and they'll ask you a bunch of questions to see if they even want the case. And then maybe you'll get to meet a case manager. And then at some point, you'll eventually get to meet the lawyer. But let's pretend that you're going to your first consultation and you're actually meeting with a lawyer. What's probably going to happen is the lawyer is going to ask you a bunch of questions first to find out about how the accident happened, what your injuries are, ask things like, have you had medical treatment? Did you bring your medical bills? Did you bring your medical reports? Did you lose work? Do you have anything from work documenting that? If it was a roadway accident, do you have a police report? If it happened at a casino or business, do you have an incident report? And the lawyer's going to ask you a bunch of questions because they want to find out if they want to take your case or not, because the lawyers in personal injury cases get paid on a contingency, meaning they only get paid when they win. And so if they feel the case is not a winning case, they're probably not going to take it. So they're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions first. You give them all the information, and then let's pretend this lawyer is interested in taking the case and let you know that. Well, what do you want to ask the lawyer? Well, there's 5 good questions to ask the lawyer to find out if this is the right person for you. Number 1, ask who's going to be the lawyer for your case. Because many times when you show up to a personal injury lawyer interview, you're not actually speaking with a lawyer, or you might not be speaking with a lawyer that's going to be handling your case. So try to find out who's actually going to be handling your case. And then number 2, when you know who the lawyer is, ask if that lawyer's had experience with your kind of case before, and what the verdicts were like, what the settlements were like, because you want to make sure that that lawyer is a good fit for your case. If you've got a case and the lawyer's never done anything like that before, it might make sense to shop around a little bit and try to get somebody with a little bit more experience related to what your actual claim involves. The third thing to ask is communication. Will your lawyer be communicating with you by phone, by email, text messages, and how often? Because one of the biggest complaints I hear from people that have hired lawyers is they get hired, the lawyer gets hired, and then they don't hear from the lawyer again until they need something yesterday, and that doesn't make for a very good experience. All right, number 4, and very important to anybody and everybody, is what is the fee? Since personal injury lawyers generally work on a contingency fee, they take a percentage of the winnings. And so a lot of times you'll hear the number 1/3 knocked around. So some lawyers will say, yes, we take a 1/3 contingency, but if it goes to trial, then we get 40% or 50%. So those numbers are very important to know. And also, in a lot of times, it's actually negotiable. If you've got a really great case, maybe you're going to want to ask the lawyer to take a smaller amount, or maybe you've got a really rough case and maybe the lawyer is going to want to hire a contingency in order to be incentivized to actually take the case. So just remember, it's not a number fixed in stone, and a number of law firms will actually negotiate with you. And then number 5, ask if the lawyer will take more than the client recovers. And what I mean by this is, unfortunately, there are circumstances where you've got a settlement. Let's say the settlement is, $100,000. And the lawyer's contingency is, we'll say 40% to make the math easy. So out of that $100,000, the lawyer takes $40,000. Well, let's say then your medical bills and expert fees and everything else were another $40,000. That means out of the 100, the lawyer took 40 and all the fees took 40, leaving you with 20. So you'd be getting 20,000, your lawyer would be getting 40,000. Well, if your lawyer says, well, you know what, we're not going to take more than the client gets, then maybe it'll be evened out a little bit and the lawyer will drop his fee to 30,000, which will increase the client's recovery to 30,000. So that's something very important to ask about if it is a concern to you. So if you happen to be looking for a personal injury lawyer in the state of Nevada where I practice law and have questions, feel free to give me a call or drop me an email and I'll be happy to answer them for you.